In today's video, we get to see some of the most unusual things that can be found in whales, like something that contains the history of the ocean and an unexpected feline parasite. Golf ball. A gray whale was discovered dead with a golf ball in its stomach in one case of life-mimicking art. Doesn't sound familiar? Well, you must not be a big Seinfeld fan. Okay, we don't mean to make light of a whale's death, but the situation does make it tough for fans of the TV program not to imagine George Costanza caught up in a lie that he's a marine biologist, then walking out towards the water to aid a beached whale. Despite his complete lack of knowledge, he magically saves the creature by removing a golf ball from its blowhole. Unfortunately, this whale did not survive in real life. A gray whale discovered dead in Puget Sound had been feasting on shrimp and had debris in its stomach, including a golf ball, but scientists are unsure what actually killed the animal. According to NOAA Fisheries, the shrimp, woody debris, algae, fragments of rope and plastic, the golf ball, and some flat spongy stuff were discovered during the stomach investigation. But again, no true culprit's been found. Plastic cups and plastic bags. A sperm whale was discovered dead in Indonesia with 115 plastic cups and 25 plastic bags in its stomach, alarming conservationists and shining a light on the country's garbage problem. The items were among roughly 6 kilograms of plastic garbage recovered in the 9.5-meter carcass. This was after it washed ashore on the southeast Sulawesi province, Wakatobi National Park. Other debris included flip-flops and ripped tarpaulins, according to Laode Selahanan, the chief of Wakatobi Tourism. WWF Indonesia claimed on social media that its personnel discovered 4 plastic bottles and 3.26 kilogram of raffia rope. That's in addition to the plastic bags and cups, mind you. The specific reason of the whale's death is unknown, but there are indications that plastic garbage may have provoked it, according to WWF Indonesia Marine Species Conservation Coordinator Dwi Saparati. The Wakatobi district, a gorgeous collection of 4 main islands encircled by a marine reserve, has petitioned Indonesia's central government to assist in combating marine garbage. The problem had gotten so bad that Indonesian officials declared a waste emergency in 2017 after a 6-kilometer stretch of coast on the island of Bali were inundated with trash. Mind-controlling parasites. The mind-controlling cat parasite, Toxoplasma gondii, has now been discovered in the hearts and diaphragms of Arctic sea dwellers. Toxoplasma gondii is well known for its effect on rodents. Cats are the parasite's natural host, and their feces contain millions of the parasite's eggs. When Toxoplasma infects rats, they appear to lose their fear of cats, approaching their natural predator with interest instead of fleeing. Toxoplasmosis can also cause blindness or congenital birth abnormalities in people when it infects them. Finding Toxoplasma in whales is bad news on several levels. For starters, it's an example of a disease that was previously only found in temperate climates, making its way to the Arctic climate. Second, it's an example of a disease spreading from a terrestrial species to an ocean-dwelling mammal. And finally, it's a huge health problem for Inuit people who rely on beluga meat for subsistence. Scientists were concerned that the disease might be identified in the species because it has been found in seals along the American West Coast for years. This disease could have been spread by belugas that traveled south and ate an infected seal, or could have been spread by house cats in the Arctic, which are growing more popular among Inuit people. Baleen. After gulping salt water, how do huge-toothed baleen whales filter millions of pounds of tiny shrimp? Baleen whales have keratinous oral tissue, the same protein found in human fingernails and hair, that hangs down from the whale's roof in bilaterally symmetrical racks. The larger keratin plates are near the lips, whereas the smaller plates are towards the tongue. The hair-like baleen strains, or filters, the food from the water as the whale gulps massive amounts of salt water. Whalebone is another name for this filter-like substance. Depending on the species, each whale has a different number of baleen. These keratin structures can typically grow to be up to 17 feet long. The baleen's plate edges shred into hairs or fringes that connect to form a dense mat. This mat allows the massive volume of water absorbed to drain from the mouth and extended neck, while also retaining trapped prey. Before spring steel and celluloid, people used baleen or whalebone, which is highly valued for its ability to retain the various shapes applied to it with the application of heat. This allows it to create boning for corsets, frameworks for crinoline and parasols, baskets, brushes, knife handles, fans, and many other items. History of the ocean. Whales are large. They live a long time and they have paddle-shaped flippers rather than dexterous hands. These 3 characteristics inexorably lead to a 4th. Whales amass a lot of earwax over time. A plug can grow up to 10 inches long in the largest whales, such as blues, and resembles a cross between a goat's horn and the world's nastiest candle. However, regardless of size or texture, each of these plugs is shockingly revealing. The wax in whales' ears transforms from bright to dark as they go through their annual cycles of summer binge eating and winter migrations. These changes are visible as altering bands if you slice through the plugs. The bands, like tree rings, can be counted to estimate a whale's age. We can also study them to determine what substances were flowing through the whale's body at the time each band formed. The earwax of a whale is thus a chronological chemical history. Baylor University's Stefan Trumbull and Sasha Yusenko figured out ways to interpret the biographies. They've also demonstrated that whale earwax discloses not only the lives of their owners, but also the history of the oceans. Hunting, unusual temperatures, and pollutants are all present. Even if all of humanity's archives vanish, Trumbull and Yusenko might rebuild a reasonably accurate record of whaling intensity by analyzing stress hormones in the earwax of a few dozen whales. Endangered eels. Rare European eels are thought to traverse the Atlantic Ocean to reproduce, but not all of them succeed. According to new research, some wind up in the guts of deep-diving whales. The discovery not only highlights the dangers that European eels endure on their epic migration, but it also suggests that whales may have a previously unknown desire for eels. European eels, which are critically endangered, are becoming increasingly scarce in rivers, lakes, and brackish waters from the Mediterranean to Scandinavia. Scientists believe the fish travel thousands of kilometers each year to reach the Sargasso Sea. That's a quiet stretch of water in the North Atlantic that's warmer, saltier, bluer, and clearer than the surrounding waters. Magnus Wahlberg, a biologist at the University of Southern Denmark and study researcher, said in a statement that it turns out that eels are hunted and consumed by whales. It only happens in very deep seas, where we ordinarily expect the eels to be protected. Furthermore, eel carcasses are rarely discovered in whale stomachs. In fact, the researchers were able to discover only one scientific case of whales consuming eels in the last 120 years. While we never witnessed it before, Wahlberg speculated that eel hunting by whales in deep water may be fairly common. Plastic, and nothing but plastic. Daryl Blatchley got a call from the Philippines Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, who said that they had a baby Cuvier's beaked whale that was weak and spewing blood. It sadly died after a few hours. Blatchley, a marine biologist and activist based in Davao, Philippines, gathered his team and drove 2 hours to the location where the whale had washed up. When the necropsy was completed, Blatchley expressed surprise at the amount of plastic found in the whale's stomach. He stated that it was full of plastic and nothing else but non-stop plastic. He then added, it compacted to the point that its stomach was literally as hard as a baseball. Among the 88 pounds of plastic were 16 rice sacks, which are similar to potato sacks, and plastic bags from 2 local Philippine grocery chains, Gaisano Capital and Gaisano Grocery Outlet. Blatchley and his crew collaborate with the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources and other organizations to help with marine animal rescue and recovery. According to Blatchley and his team, 3 whales or dolphins had plastic waste in their systems just in 2019 alone. Now it's time for the day's best pick. Once these fishermen opened the whale, they found something that could be considered gold. Vomit gold. A group of Yemeni fishermen were pulled out of poverty after discovering a rare type of treasure within the carcass of a sperm whale. The find was valued at $1.1 million. What is it, you might be asking? Well, it's a lump of solid whale vomit used in the production of perfume. And no, I'm not kidding. This whale vomit is known as ambergris. A group of 35 fishermen from southern Aden province were alerted to a sperm whale carcass floating in the Gulf of Aden and dragged it in a small boat to shore. Ambergris, often known as vomit gold or floating gold, is generated inside the intestines of sperm whales over many years to produce a waxy substance of gray or black color. It's used in perfumes to keep the scent fresh. The Alcazar fishermen decided to split the proceeds on the 127-kilogram lump of ambergris before selling it for $1.1 million. One of the fishermen stated that they've begun to purchase homes and others intend to marry now that they've been lifted out of poverty. Some of the funds were distributed to other poor people in the Alcazar community, which houses refugees from the war-torn country's metropolis of Hadida. Nasty gases. Every year, over 2,000 whale strandings are reported around the world. Unfortunately, the majority of these result in the animal's death, and some have even been known to explode. Yeah, I didn't stutter there, you heard that right. They explode, and it's one thing you wouldn't want to witness or smell, really. What causes whales to erupt after they die, though? Well, decomposing whale carcasses produce gas that accumulate inside the whale's stomach and big internal organs. This caused them to expand, but because whale skin and fat are strong, the gases become trapped inside. This normally occurs in the whale's massive neck pouch, which is usually filled with seawater so the whale can filter it to find food. It's frequently aggravated by heat from the sun. However, because this portion of the body can withstand enormous levels of pressure, spontaneous explosions are uncommon. The body, however, can explode if someone tampers with it by climbing on it, attempting to take a souvenir from it, or moving it. When the skin rips, the gas along with the whale's insides is released, and sometimes at high speeds. The decomposing whale is reputed to have one of the worst smells in the world. Michael Packard. A man from the US has recounted his near-death experience last 2021 after being eaten by a massive humpback whale. Michael Packard of Massachusetts explained how he was stuck within a humpback whale's jaw for around 40 seconds in June of 2021. Michael Packard recounts escaping from the mouth of a whale a year later. The ocean food chain was clearly visible, but approximately 10 feet from the bottom, Packard realized what it was like to be a part of it. Packard was swallowed whole by a humpback whale, which was something truly biblical, just in the wrong sense. Packard initially believed he was inside a great white shark, but he couldn't feel any teeth and had no evident wounds. He quickly realized he'd been devoured whole by a whale. He struggled while wearing scuba gear, and the whale began tossing its head, letting Packard know he didn't enjoy it as much as him. He guessed that he was in the whale for 30 to 40 seconds until it surfaced. Wellfleet resident Packard recalled what happened by saying, "I saw a light. He started swinging his head around, and the next thing I know, I was outside the water." See you all next time.